Let's go over to the United States of America, though, now and talk to Jerry Edling. He's editor for KNX News Radio in Los Angeles, California, because this morning on page 1 of the Daily Mail, we've got Stormy Daniels. If I'd made up my story about sex with Trump, I'd have written it a lot better. Stormy Daniels, unbelievable. Some of the stuff that's been coming out in the courtroom, Jerry, has been quite unedifying, I have to say. All designed, it seems to me, to humiliate the former president. What do you say?
Yeah, exactly. And the when she was on the stand on Thursday, the defense was trying to portray her as something of a fabulous, somebody who would create any story just to sell books or whatever.
Right.
And they just hammered her, and of course over the last few days, as you alluded to, she's given some very extremely interesting accounts, graphic accounts of her alleged encounters.
And which the judge at times has said, you know, Ms. Daniels, you don't really have to be quite so specific about all of this. You know, there's no need to go into all of this ridiculous detail, because at the end of the day, whether or not she had sex with Donald Trump, which even she seems to disagree with herself on, that's not really the issue at hand, is it?
Yeah, and her comment that she would have written the story better is very telling in that respect, because she cared about, you know, how many books were going to be sold, but what the prosecution tried to do is to kind of hammer down the monetary aspect and say, well, yeah, she tried to make money, but she also had expenses too. She had to hire security for her family and relocate her daughters somewhere else. And it was so, but the testimony did come to a conclusion, and the judge made turned down 2 motions too, one for a mistrial based on the fact that her stories, or based on the allegation that her stories had changed, and also something to allow him to talk about Stormy Daniels.
Right, exactly. And I mean, there have been some allegations as well from Trump's lawyers, have there not, that she's actually been involved in what you might call loosely extortion after the fact, because I mean, this is a woman who took quite a good deal of money, a 6-figure sum, to supposedly keep quiet about something. Now, having done that, she then breached the agreement and did talk about it. She then, you know, revisited a denial that she'd made earlier on about not having sex with him, and said that was all nonsense, and I just said that because that's what they wanted me to say. You know, the whole story stinks, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a very SEAMY, you know, state of affairs, and to think that this is a former president being alleged to have done this is just, I think the sense of shock is still in effect.
Right, definitely.
And,
well, let's have a look at what Donald Trump said, because, sorry, I'll come back to you, Jerry, in a second, because the other sort of ongoing narrative has been the judge telling him to stop dissing the trial, to stop sort of dissing the judge in general. And, of course, he keeps fining him. He then threatened him with prison, but Trump's just going to carry on doing it. This is what he said like yesterday.
This judge is corrupt. He's a corrupt judge. This judge, what he did and what his ruling was, is a disgrace. Everybody saw what happened today. He's a corrupt judge, and he's totally conflicted. And I got to get back on the campaign trail. I'm not supposed to be here. We are so innocent. There's never been anything like it. Read every single analyst, legal analyst. I'm innocent, and I'm being held in this court with a corrupt judge who's totally conflicted. Take a look at his conflict. It's a disgrace.
So just for those of you at the back, in case you weren't sure, he's a corrupt judge, Jerry. I mean, if he keeps carry on like this, there's going to be some point at which presumably the judge will either have to put him in jail or will just have to, you know, stop the trial.
Yeah, exactly. But this is not out of character for Donald Trump.
Right.
He tends to shoot from the hip, and so far he's been much of what allegedly might end his career has proven to be Teflon.
Right.
So that's what he does, and people, to a certain extent, have gotten used to it. And, you know, which is an odd state of affairs.
It really is. And Donald Trump says finally he wants to get back to the campaign trail. How much more of this are we expecting? Another week, maybe another 2 weeks?
Well, that's a good question. His former assistant at the Oval Office, Madeleine Westerhout, is scheduled to testify today and probably on Monday as well. And so, yeah, I would say it would be at least a week or a couple of weeks, possibly more. You never know where these are going to go because it's so convoluted. If it were a simple charge like Trump made a hush money payment, and if that were illegal, that would be the end of it. But we have this whole daisy chain of operations that just keep going on, and each one has to be proven or not. And so the light at the end of the tunnel isn't in sight yet,
no.
I don't think.
No, we're still deep in the tunnel, sadly. But, Jerry, good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. We look forward to seeing you again. Jerry Edling, the editor for KNX News Radio.